Wrestling Revolver's Tales from the Ring had title matches, death matches, and workers who put in the effort. However, what happens when effort just isn't enough to maintain a show worth watching? Gringo Loco vs. JJ Garrett delivered a strong opener to me. This had good pacing and some nice back and forth. And they kept things moving with the finish being a Spanish fly off the top rope through a table. I pretty much thought both guys performed well, and the crowd was into it enough that got people engaged without over-delivering stuff. Now, if they would have gone just another few minutes, built things out a little bit more, this would have been great. But with the time they had, this pretty much hit the right notes here. The big spots landed the way it needed to, and this was a proper way to start off a show at 3.5 stars. Bryan Keith retained the DEFY World title versus Alan Angels with the Emerald Tiger Driver on a chair. Now, the match had that title match feel with the story they were building around Alan Angels in dissension with Gia Miller, who was leading the group, the Macabre here. Now, Miller and Jessica Havoc got involved at certain points, but it actually enhanced the story rather than taking away from the wrestling here. I thought the chair finish fit as far as what they was trying to build towards to, but the problem here is that they needed more time. What they did was crisp, but to get to that next level to be really good, they needed another segment or two to flesh things out a little bit. The bones were there. The storytelling framework was in place. They just didn't have enough room to maximize it at just 2 3/4 stars. The three-way Revolver tag team title match I thought was pretty fun. The finish of this was a powerbomb swanton combination, and I thought all three teams got roughly equal amount of time in there, and everyone executed their roles well. This pretty much leaned into spots, and nothing was particularly wrong here, especially with the structure or the layout. I thought this delivered what you would expect from these three teams at just a solid 3 stars. Jake Crist and Nevaeh versus Killer Kelly and Myron Reed was a necessary undercard match to further the Crist and Reed feud. It came out of a wedding segment where Reed and Kelly got married that was officiated by Sean Ross Sapp of all people, and Sachi, who was in charge of the show, made the match official. Now, Chris pinned Reed with a backslide after Chris's daughter Johnny hit her tornado DDT, and there was also a belt shot. Now, they did more than what I expected here, and I thought this would have been very quick given what was coming from that wedding angle, but they did give this match time. Maybe 60% wrestling, 40% type of entertainment with Sapp, Sachi, and Johnny getting involved. And I also thought the wedding setup did help rather than hurt here. The outside stuff stayed within the right boundaries, and it served the story as far as what they was trying to tell. It was just a little match with some fun to it, and I get this one just 2.5 stars. The 7-way scramble match for the vacant Scramble title saw Big Pound winning after falling on Joe Alonzo following Alonzo hitting him with some brass knucks. Now, I thought that was a creative finish, though it was not really innovative. Now, everyone got their moments to shine, and the guys did put in the effort. They did a lot of stuff in there, but I thought this dragged at points. I couldn't get into it. It just kind of just got into the way of what they was trying to do here. It was a mix of everything, but it was kind of holding it back a little bit from the structure, the workers, and the overall execution. Sometimes with these multi-person scrambles, you can have all the pieces, but nothing clicks. And that's what happened here at just 2 1/4 stars. The 4-way corner Mayhem match saw Damian Chambers winning with Darkness Falls over Ace Austin. Also, Crash Jackson and Dante Leon was in this match. Now, what separated this from the scramble from before was that there was some better execution here. Also, some better workers. That really pretty much made a difference. It was somewhat balanced for the most part, and everyone got their time. And I also thought the near falls were nice and was built well. But some things could have been smoother in the execution, and that's what kept it from getting to that next level. So if you clean up on the execution on a few sequences in this match, you're looking at a much better result. Instead, it's just 3 1/4 stars. BDE won the Remix title from AJ Francis with a frog splash. Now, the title change felt significant, and the crowd was very invested because of BDE's social media popularity. However, though, I expected better given the feud that they've been running. Now, I thought their first match against each other, I thought that was way better than this one. Now, obviously, I understand the story that they were trying to tell in this match, but it didn't deliver at the level I thought it would have. When you have a feud built up and a title change, you want something more than just an adequate win. You want good to great. And for me, it didn't get to that point. This only gets 2 3/4 stars. The three-way death match I just didn't care for at all. Cruel won over Alex Colon and Judge Joe Dredd with face plant on some tacks, and it was pretty much just a hardcore match. That was pretty boring at times for me. I really couldn't get invested in this. They seemed like they were just going through the motions at times despite doing hardcore spots, and I think this would have been better served as just a one-on-one match. The three-way format of this didn't really help. One nice visual spot, though, I will say, is where Cruel got tied to a board, but that's just about it. I gave this one only just 2.5 stars. I thought this was an okay show. Very standard with little substance for the most part. Wrestling Revolver has a certain level they usually hit, and this was a little bit below that standard. Not by much, but enough to notice. The match quality just wasn't there, and that's what it needed to move from not recommended to possibly something worth checking out. The wrestling quality was a problem throughout. I thought the show lost momentum at the Scramble Title match, and it never really recovered from there at certain points. Nothing on here is really worth going out of your way to watch. Even the better matches like the opener were strong, especially for what they were, but not something that you need to see. I give this a 6.75 out of 10. I don't recommend this.